Hello, and welcome back to Felony Spectator. I am your host, Heather. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Bianca Devins, who was brutally murdered by someone she met online. This person then posted video and photos of the killing to various social media websites before attempting to take his own life. Bianca was a 17-year-old girl from Utica, New York. She, like many of us, shared a lot of her life online. Bianca was a gamer, and she would use gaming platforms like Discord or 4chan to talk to people. Some people would say that she wanted to be a social media star, but other sources would say that she had just a small following. To me, it sounds like she was just like anyone else and just posted on various social media platforms like TikTok or 4chan. Bianca had recently graduated from high school and was enrolled at Mohawk Valley Community College, where she planned to study psychology and wanted to help kids with mental health issues. It said that she too struggled with mental health, so she just wanted to help others in a professional setting. Bianca lived with borderline personality disorder, but she was very empathetic and wanted to help other people. It said she also helped people online who were being bullied or were getting unwanted attention from older, abusive men on the internet. She was just a really caring, kind person who spent a lot of her time helping other people. Some websites would report that she was dating a person by the name of Brandon Clark for about 2 months. Lots of articles write that he was a boyfriend, but others would argue that they were just friends and it was only Brandon who referred to her as his girlfriend. From what I could find out, it seems that she was honest with Brandon about their relationship, but it was him who thought it was more. Brandon Clark was a 21-year-old Lyft driver that met Bianca on Instagram. They spoke mainly throughout social media and developed a friendship before meeting in real life. Brandon actually attended Bianca's high school graduation with her, and people thought he seemed polite, but they could tell that he wanted something more than just friendship. Brandon was known to fixate on things. So when he was younger, it was Pokemon, or sometimes it was online games, but it eventually turned to girls and then Bianca. Brennan and Bianca were all set to go to a concert together, and as Saturday, July 13th, 2019 was approaching, Bianca had mentioned to some of her online friends that she was really excited to see Nicole Dollanganger perform. Herself and 21-year-old Brandon traveled to New York City together to the concert. Around 10 p.m., Bianca and Brandon started to drive back to Utica, but at some point they got into an argument. She logged into a site called Discord, which is basically instant messaging software used by a lot of gamers. I don't know, I've never used it myself. And she messaged a friend saying that Brandon was so mad because she had kissed someone else at the concert who wasn't Brandon. Now, I didn't see this video, nor do I want to, but Brandon had set up a camera in the car to record them having sex, which I do believe did happen. I've also read that Bianca fell asleep in the back of Brandon's car, and footage would show Brandon waking her up because he wanted to discuss what he saw and confronted her about the fact that she had been seen kissing someone else. Bianca basically says that they were not exclusive and she was allowed to. I guess Bianca had told this to her mother as well, that they were not together. She knew Brandon probably wanted more, but she thought that they could remain just friends. In the video, Brandon doesn't like her answer and he hits her. Bianca demands to be taken home and said that she'll get out of the car and walk if he doesn't keep going. Brandon then pulls out a knife that he had hidden by the seat, which caught Bianca completely off guard. And I think at this point, he would start stabbing and hurting Bianca while recording the entire incident. Brandon would also periodically take selfies beside Bianca's body. Around 6:30 a.m., photos of Bianca's partially decapitated body appeared on a site called 4chan, which was loosely monitored, as well as Instagram stories of an account that belonged to Brandon. The photos were also posted on Bianca's own Discord account with the caption, quote, "Sorry fuckers, you're gonna have to find someone else to orbit," end quote. He was also posting a lot on Snapchat too, where a lot of people started to take screenshots of what he was posting. Bianca's friends on Discord became understandably worried, and 911 received repeated phone calls from concerned people all over the internet. Brandon himself also called 911 as well, saying, quote, "My name is Brandon. The victim is Bianca Michelle Devins. I'm not going to stay on the phone for long because I'm still needing to do the suicide part of the murder-suicide," end quote. Utica police found Brandon down a wooden area at the end of a residential road. And when they arrived on scene around 7:20 a.m., they found Bianca's body outside of Brandon's SUV under a green tarp. They also saw Brandon critically injured by a self-inflicted stab wound to the neck. Brandon was actually actively posting selfies of himself with his neck wound and Bianca's body online, as well as other photos online, while being held at police gunpoint. Brandon would be arrested on scene and taken to the hospital. Police would also recover Brandon's cell phone, and not only did they see the selfies he was taking, but also video of the murder. Unfortunately, when Brandon posted the footage online, this led to other screenshotting and reposting of those photos. Some Instagrammers were using the footage and photos as bait to get more followers, basically saying if people follow their account, they would release more footage. Apparently, it took Instagram up to 20 hours to remove the photos and to try and fix the mess. Instagram released a statement apologizing, but it was too late. I should also point out that it was Instagram that claimed it took 20 hours, but it continued for a really long time. People were also brutal in that they created memes and turned the gruesome photos into jokes. Thankfully, to help Bianca out, lots of online users would post photos of pink skies, rainbows, or art using the same hashtag her body was under to try and dilute the hashtag with more pleasant photos. During the investigation, police would search the home of Brandon, and they would discover it wasn't in fact the kiss that sent Brandon over the edge. The murder appeared to have been premeditated. Brandon had knives, rope, and even a suicide note at one of his family members' homes. For 3 months before the murder, Brandon was searching online for info on how to kill someone. He also had video equipment in his car that night to record the murder, which he admitted that he wanted to watch the killing later on and keep it. While Brandon was awaiting trial, he wrote letters to a crime vlogger implying that he had blacked out and had forgotten most of the details of the incident. And I don't believe he made the same claim to anyone else, though, so we can only assume that he was either lying or trying to set up a temporary insanity case. Brandon did originally plead not guilty, but he did change that to guilty a few months later after a plea deal. During the trial, Brandon did admit that he made himself a checklist of things that he wanted to do the day of the murder. One thing was to change his Instagram bio to display his date of death, implying that he was going to kill himself after killing Bianca. He also had saved a lot of Bianca's online photos onto his computer. His computer history had had him going into her social media sites regularly and screenshots of their text conversations as well. It seemed that Brandon was just completely obsessed with Bianca. Unfortunately, Brandon came from a family where his dad tried to kill his mother. When Brandon was just 12 years old, some reports say 10 years old, his father lost his temper and held his mom, Michelle, hostage for 10 hours. Apparently, Brandon was home at the time of this incident. It said that Jason, Brandon's father, accused Michelle of cheating and he lost his mind. He beat her, and when she tried to call 911, he ripped the phone out of the wall. When police finally arrived at the scene, Jason was holding a knife to her throat and made Michelle yell to police that she was being held hostage. He then slammed her head against the wall. Jason kept officers at bay by making sure that they knew he was holding a knife to Michelle's throat. After about 10 hours, he eventually calmed down and realized his mistake. He then wrapped Michelle in a blanket and brought her outside. There are some reports that say he was going to take his own life as well. Now, he did apologize for everything, but was charged with felony assault, criminal possession of a weapon, unlawful imprisonment, and aggravated criminal contempt. He was only sentenced 2 years in a plea deal. So if Brandon's dad had anger issues, it's quite possible that those were passed down to him, or that he grew up in a household where it was normal for his mother to be hurt by his father. So the cycle continues. Brandon's mother was also arrested while his father was in jail, so Brandon spent some time in foster care as well. Now, I'm not making any excuses for Brandon, just trying to give you some context as to who he is and what happened throughout his childhood. I do believe what happens to us as kids affect us as grown-ups. Sadly, Brandon's actions of posting the killings online opened a huge black hole on the internet of people becoming obsessed with what happened. Yes, some people did call 911 and reported the photos, but an unbelievable amount of people were saving them and sharing them. During the murder, people were joining and following Brandon's various social media accounts just so they could follow along with the live photos being posted. Both accounts were being flooded with comments from worried people to others trying to capitalize with what was going on. Then there were people creating fake accounts and reposting the death, which just seems so messed up. Even after everything was over, some people were still trying to sell the photos of Bianca. After Bianca had died, her Instagram followers went from just over 2,000 to 160,000 followers. After Brandon originally pled not guilty, while he was being held on bail, he was found with a sharpened toothbrush in his cell and charged with promoting prison contraband. It was around this time he started to finally show remorse for what he did and changed his plea. I do wonder if he was actually remorseful or if he was remorseful that he got caught and had to live with the consequences of his actions. Anyway, he went on to say, quote, "I apologize to all the people that I knew and loved her. I apologize to everyone affected by this, to anybody who had to see that horrific picture of her," end quote. When Brandon originally pled guilty, it was part of a plea deal that he would only get charged with second-degree murder and 25 years to life. The judge reminded Brandon that he wasn't allowed to change his mind, and the judge went over that with him several times to make sure. Brandon really wanted to change his plea back to not guilty, and he tried to argue that his lawyers weren't doing a good enough job and made many mistakes. The judge said he could have a new lawyer, and he was in the end convicted of second-degree murder. There are many people who trust that Brandon's remorse was real, including his mother, who says that he is not the manipulative monster that the prosecution made him out to be. However, Bianca's mother has said that she understands how his family and friends could be unable to see what kind of person he is, because she too found him very polite, well-spoken, and trusted him to drive Bianca to the concert. There were no red flags, no bad feelings. He was just really good at hiding who he was. There is a whole other layer to this crime, and I'm not sure how deep it goes, but there are people who just can't let Bianca's death go. Bianca's mother, for years, got random images of her daughter's death sent to her DMs. On Bianca's birthday, just 3 months after her death, her stepfather received a DM of one of the images of Bianca with a party hat photoshopped on her head. I haven't read if it's still currently occurring, but it just seems very disturbing, especially since the man responsible was locked up. Why and who are these people who are still tormenting her? It's believed the people responsible are part of a group of men called incels, which is short for involuntary celibates. Basically, these incels or involuntary celibates are men over 21 years of age who have gone longer than 6 months without any type of sexual activity, not by their own choice, but because women turn them down. I don't fully understand why this group exists. Why are men coming together? But I guess misery loves company. It seems like it's formed out of jealousy and anger towards the men who can easily go out and get women, and then in turn jealousy and anger towards the women who turn them down. In this group, Chads are the attractive men who have no problem getting women, and Stacy's are the women who incels want but can't get. Bianca was considered a Stacy, an attractive woman that Brandon couldn't get. Now, I couldn't find any real proof that Brandon was part of this group of men, but they seem quite happy that Brandon took Bianca's life, even quoted by saying, quote, "He did the world a favor," end quote. Psychologists think that Bianca's image is being used to justify violence towards women. And in the world of incels, it's normal to have hatred towards women. Now, I'm sure with any type of group, there are extremists, so I don't know if we should paint them all with the same brush. But with that said, if you explore the dark web of incels, there are men who truly become obsessed with being angry at women, and they think death and violence is the answer. In North America, there has been over 50 deaths attributed to this ideology. In fact, Homeland Security has issued an advisory about domestic violence in which incels are a part of. Do we know for sure that incels are behind the images being sent to her family in torment? No, but the fact remains that there are a lot of people out there that continue to use the images and just won't stop. Bianca's mother also filed a lawsuit against the district attorney because the footage Brandon recorded was given out to documentary makers like CBC, 48 Hours, and A&E Confidential. Kimberly, Bianca's mother, was understandably upset by this, and I guess it wasn't just the killing, but also of them having sex as well. Bianca was only 17, which is underage in a lot of states, and that breaks all sorts of laws. The DA admitted to sharing the video as well as the photos from the phone after it was seized at the crime scene. I don't know if the videos have been redacted or what ended up happening with the suit, but I have a feeling it's just going to be brushed under the rug. Kimberly, Bianca's mother, also worked tirelessly to have a new law created called Bianca's Law, which would be a federal bill to hold social media companies accountable for what is posted, specifically violent or graphic content. Even 2 years after her death, the images were still popping up on Facebook and Instagram. And as I said, I have not seen the video, but I did accidentally stumble upon photos while doing research. They're unfortunately still out there. This law has been passed as of June 1st, 2022 in New York State, but they still need further action to make this a federal law. I will put up the petition in the comments for anyone who wants to sign it. A scholarship has also been created by the Devins and the Williams in memory of Bianca, which supports students who want to pursue a degree in psychology, which was Bianca's dream, helping people with mental illness. If you wish to donate to that, I will also put the link in the comments as well. Due to COVID, Brendan's sentencing took a lot longer than it should have, but thankfully, in March of 2021, Brendan was sentenced to 25 years in prison. My thoughts? As a true crime YouTuber, this case just gives me all sorts of mixed feelings. Social media can be such a useful tool and can be a lot of fun, but it's also a really scary place. I know a lot of people in the true crime community who are like myself in that we don't want to exploit crimes or sensationalize a case, but are trying to tell a story and doing our best to be respectful. And maybe that's hypocritical of me because I do post crime scene photos or interviews or recorded phone calls, but what happened to Bianca I think really crossed the line. To make a meme, a joke, or celebrate someone's murder is appalling. Sadly, this isn't the first case where someone has posted live footage of something horrible happening to another human being. I don't know what the fix is. I don't personally believe in censorship, but what do we do when people can't play nice? I also don't want a social credit system either. Perhaps harsher penalties for online bullies or those who post live streams of their crimes. I don't know. What do you think? How do we prevent things like that from happening again? Or is that just part and parcel with having the internet as a public space? I would love to know your thoughts. Thanks again for joining me here at Felony Spectator, and we will see you again soon.